Hey, so there's a ton of golfers out there who play army golf. Raise your hand if you're one of them. And this means you're hitting shots that you block high and to the right, occasionally turning that around and hitting a duck hook, but you never seem to know what you're going to get on any particular day. So it's very hard to plan your way around a golf course. So right after this, let's talk about getting stuck and blocking it high right. Let's figure out how we're going to solve this really fast and easy. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve from HitItLonger.com. I continue my mission to hit the ball longer and straighter than I ever have before, and hopefully showing you how to do it too. Support the channel by hitting like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with someone who may need the help. All right, so if you've been hitting shots that start high right, and instead of coming back with your usual draw, they just continue to kind of fade off to the right and get you in a lot of trouble. Of course, you'll probably have on certain days the quick hook when you least expect it, and this two-way miss makes it really hard for you to strategize your way around a course because you don't know which miss is going to be coming on any particular day or even any particular hole. Well, this is something that I would call, and a lot of people would call, getting stuck. And this is what that means is when you reach last parallel with your swing, ideally you would like to be parallel to the intended line of flight when the club gets to last parallel here. And that's a pretty healthy swing. But what happens when you are stuck is the club head is stuck inside the handle like this. And often what this means is the last part of your swing is going to be coming into the ball like this. So you can't seem to turn it over. You have a hard time. You learn how to flip it, but that seems to give you the two-way miss. But always plagued on video with this look, with a tall handle and a face open to the target line just before impact. And then flipping close is what a lot of good players will do to kind of make up the slack. What we need is a better arm path, probably a better butt depth, and of course we need a stronger and earlier pivot point for the handle so that it will kick the club head out and around to square up. Okay, so generally the root cause of getting stuck is when you first start getting good at golf and you're learning how to hit that inside out draw shot. A lot of us tend to do it kind of the wrong way. Instead of getting the head to move inside to out a little bit with a square face, we kind of tend to make the handle travel too much from inside to out like this, and not on the correct arc that's going to give the club head a nice kick to square that face up. All right, so let's look at some of the symptoms of being stuck. We mentioned before, head stuck inside the shaft. This probably means at last parallel that your left arm is kind of cruising away from the right hip and pocket towards the ball, too far away for too long, both too far away and not coming back in time to make up the slack. And that keeps the head of the club falling in line with the vector of the handle. And you can see what's going to happen is this is going to tend to happen. And once you get that club head on this side, this tree is falling on this side of the line, no amount of force with your muscles is going to try to tip it back the other way. You're just fighting a losing battle. That thing, the best you can do is kind of fight it to a draw. And that still means you're going to come in here no matter how hard you're trying to torque that thing around the handle. Gravity is pulling it this way. You want it to fall that way. Something's got to give. It's not going to work. The other thing that happens besides the left hand and the left arm getting out too far away, you get this big gap in the armpit. You get this big window between the two arms here. See that big window of daylight you can see between my arms is just too big. Some of you out there, a lot of you out there, furthermore, you also add insult to injury by early extension too. Early extension will almost certainly doom you to getting this like this because it pushes the arm out away like this. And again, the vector of that handle keeps going this way for too long. It's not turning the corner. and you're going to end up looking like this coming into impact with a very tall shaft and an open face. Now, there is one drill that can fix this problem pretty fast. It may not work for everybody. Some other people might need a second step, but for a lot of you it's going to work really well, and that is we're going to take this noodle here. Okay, so I got this microphone stand off of Amazon for about 25 bucks. I got the noodle from the dollar store, so it's an investment of about 26 bucks. Of course, if you don't want to spend 26 bucks, you can use your golf bag, stand right here, and pull a long club out and use the head cover in lieu of the noodle. But let me show you where I've got this thing placed now. I've got it, notice, about pocket level, and I'm going to line this thing up to where it's about even this way with my right hip as well. What that's going to do, and you might play around with this spacing just a little bit if you are a real fanatic and you like to film yourself a lot. You may find your mileage may vary on this positioning, but what's going to happen here is this. Now, let's say I'm here halfway down, right? I'm right about here. Now, if this arm continues to go out towards the ball and it doesn't start to curve back again, I'm going to hit the noodle, and of course you can see the club is just falling in line with that vector, so I'm heading on the way to getting stuck pretty bad here. So instead, what we're going to do, we're simply going to miss the noodle this way, and notice now that my hand is back to the proper distance of about one hand span away from my right thigh. Also, you ask about the early extension. Well, if I were to early extend here on my way down like this, there's not going to be any room. I can't do it. I can't get my hand back in here. It's gonna, for most of you, it'll automatically, just by trying to miss the noodle, is gonna force you to keep the rump back in order for this path right here to stay clear. Otherwise, you won't have any room to sneak it through there at all. So, really all you've got to do once you have this set up in the right spot is just tell yourself, miss the noodle. Now, some of you may be able to swing fairly fast, fairly quickly. Those of you out there who are super coordinated and kind of get the mental imagery right off the bat. And others of you, you will find that you're going to have to swing it very, very slowly to get unstuck. But watch what's going to happen now as my arm starts to crack back here. See, just by pivoting the handle this way early enough, you're going to get this super incredible leverage point, this kick or tipping of the club head, some people call it, like that. You could almost say it's like a tree tipping over. That's why you might call it tipping. That way, if the tree is already falling, let's say I just pull the root, I pull the trunk of the tree this way, it's already going into timber mode, and all I can do is I can push, and now I'm adding to gravity, and that way my pushing force and my effort is actually doing some good, as opposed to working against gravity. Eventually I'm going to get crushed by that tree. But we can get that tipping this way because we're doing that with getting that pivot point moving. We can really get this thing turning like this. Get this club looking more like this, where the club head gets to the outside, and this way it's going to come in. The shaft will be much, much lower than you're used to. Your hands will be low, also because you're going to have to keep your butt back, stay bent over in your posture more. It's going to make the shaft much lower through the impact zone, which is a good thing. It's going to allow us to square this thing without too much twisting force or muscle force on the grip. And then after impact, you've got to keep the curve, the pivot point has got to keep moving. You're not done right here. That's not going to be enough to get this thing going straight. Just because you made this initial change of direction and pivot point. It's not enough. What you're going to have to do once you get to here is now you're going to have to keep working the handle hard around low and left. That keeps that vector moving left to keep that head continuing to rip around the outside circle. Not only are you going to get squaring force easy so that you're not going to block the ball out to the right. And if you don't block the ball out to the right, you're never going to feel the urge to have to roll the toe, and so the duck hook mysteriously, magically will disappear fairly quickly too. But what you're also going to get, of course, you're going to get this speeding up factor. So I wouldn't be surprised when you fix stuck that you pick up 3, 4, 5, 6 miles an hour of club head speed. You may pick up disproportionately more distance than that, 20, 30, 40 yards, due to higher launch, less spin, ball's drawing a little instead of slicing. You're going to get a lot more roll this way. A lot of people who block the ball, they get almost no roll, if that's you. Okay, so let's look at this in action again. We're going to be going here and then keep going around to the left. Get some leverage on this sucker. Let's see how it goes. I got more work to do because I still clipped it a little bit, but I certainly got a little more leverage on this thing. I could feel this pivot point right here. Got the ball turning over right to left gently instead of blocking it. All right, you can see I need a little bit more work on this because I clipped the noodle just a little bit, but I really feel this leverage point back here, kicking that club head around. I actually was able to hit a nice subtle draw down the center of the fairway. A really good distance on that considering the effort I put into the swing. All right, so let's take a look at the extreme version of this. Someone who does this maybe more than anyone in history, and that's Sergio Garcia. Watch how he gets this club so shallow into the inside coming down, but watch how he just cracks that thing in such a small amount of time. He cracks that handle and ends up extremely close to his right pocket at last parallel, and that club shaft, boy, it squares up beautifully with the target line, keeps the club head and the club shaft moving dead on plane. And notice absolutely does not exit with the handle straight. He exits by continuing to arc the handle around low and to the left, and he really keeps that club face square to square the longest possible time. All right, and if you're not a fan of gimmicks like this, just keep in mind a couple things here. The rump has got to stay back as you come down into the downswing, and the left arm needs to pass and hand need to pass fairly close, not only to the right pocket, but also, that will get it leverage, but also to the left pocket as you go around the corner to the left. So that's how you would do it. Start softly if you have to. Start gently and just try to miss the noodle. It's gonna be a real bear. You're not even gonna believe how easy it is to come out and nail this thing until you get better at it. But stick with it, whichever method you choose, the noodle, the bag, and the head cover, or nothing at all if you don't like gadgets on the range with you. But by all means, use this leverage point here, this almost like a crackback, where you're doing this and the club head gets whipped around with kind of leverage from the handle and squares up and speeds up so beautifully. You won't believe how long and straight you're going to hit this thing, and how you get rid of the two-way miss as well. You're going to get really good when you get this down. All right, hey, thanks so much for watching. The best thing you can do to support my channel is click like, leave a comment, share it with someone who might need this. swing advice. And if you'd like to, head over to my website, hititlonger.com. You're going to find over 300 or 400 more videos and articles that are going to all help you with your swing. I'm Steve, and as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.